Hi guys.
Hey guys, welcome to the brand new Jn'L podcast. So we're definitely really excited for this year because we do a lot more student-led content, aren't we, Louise?
Yes, we are.
So today we have some new members who are basically part of a massive initiative that we're part of, helping students get more content like this. And we wanted to do the first thing as a realistic guide to freshers because we all felt that freshers definitely told you one thing, drinking, fun, or whatever. But we know that there's definitely hard times for students the last couple of years. And yeah, we just want to give you our own experiences of that. So Louise is going to play the role of the facilitator today and yeah, start us off.
Yeah. So the first question we have here is whether we think Freshers Week is overrated or not. So, in my opinion, in my own experience, I had Jeremy go to the same uni as me. And as we all know, Jeremy's my older brother. So he was like, oh my God, Freshers Week is so amazing. You're gonna have the best time ever. And like it's just gonna be all like rainbows and butterflies. And yeah. Which to be fair, it was a oh God, it was so long. It was like 2 weeks. It wasn't even a week, it was 2 weeks. Like it was really fun. I went out. I like it was easy for me to like integrate into like my flat. Um, and just like to make new friends. It was weird. I'd say the weirdest thing was like just hearing loads of random stories from people. And like, I don't know, I think it was just hard to believe what some people were saying. And it felt, we always say, like me and my housemates now, we always say it felt like PGL, like you're in some like weird summer camp. And like you kind of feel like you're never going to see these people again. Like you kind of feel like it's some weird like holiday, but really, I mean, that's the start of like a whole year. But yeah, I think it is pretty for what it is, it's pretty wild week. And yeah, like the freshers fair, that was good. I like the sports fair, that was really again, it just felt like I was in some weird summer camp. So I feel like that's my experience of it. Jeremy?
Cool. Yeah, so I think, like you're saying, I felt like just having come off the back of school, it was just such, and also the uni we went to, we were able to live on this little like sort of student village, but in this it's really green and nice, and it just feels like this, yeah, like she said, like a camp, and it's just everybody freshers on that part of the campus. So like everybody's come with this like buzz of oh we're at uni and stuff like that, and they definitely it's like an easy way to like hold the buzz of it. Whereas if you're in like a different campus, you might be on a like residential road, or you might be mixed up with like second, third, and fourth years. And I feel like maybe that was part of why it felt so like, oh, everything, something's going on every day kind of thing. And I was also quite lucky in the sense that my house all were quite a similar level of, yeah, we wanted to go out, but it wasn't sort of like super high pressure, like really intense kind of thing. And we were able to make friends. So I appreciate like it very, very much was a case of being lucky, but I think it was a nice way to sort of almost like icebreakers in a non-cringy way. So you can get to know everyone very quickly. And yeah, I think that was my experience. But I know that there was a lot of different ones just from friends that I met over the years since then.
I had a very odd freshers because obviously it was completely in the middle of coronavirus, so it wasn't really freshers at all. And if you kind of went to an event, it would all be sitting down, and the music was too loud, and you couldn't hear anyone, and you were trying to meet new people, but you'd be sat with a random group of six, and if you stood up, you get kicked out on your own. So I think I had a very, very odd experience, not a normal one. But overall, though, I think I didn't, I thought I'd be really, really good at uni. And I had my parents being like, you're going to be great. Like, I feel like I'm quite a social person. But the second I got to uni, I didn't know anyone. And I kind of just crumbled a little bit. And I said to all my friends, I'm just going to knock on everyone's door. It's going to be such a breeze. And I got there and I kind of just panicked. I really didn't, it really kind of makes you question yourself quite a lot. Like I really, really didn't really know what to do. But it's really overwhelming at first, but it is such a character building experience. It really is, like just being thrown into this deep end. It's so odd, like your whole life you build up all this comfort around you of everyone you know, and it's so weird just having to be thrown somewhere where you probably don't know anyone. You're in a completely new place. You have your family, you don't have your friends. It's really odd, but yeah, I think it was quite character building, but it was scary at first, and I don't think anyone quite prepared me for it, because I thought, oh, freshers, best time of your life, and it was not for me anyway.
I remember you saying that moment where your parents go and it's like, oh, I'm here now, and it's just all on you, because you were saying that was just like such a vivid memory. Do you want to say that? Yeah.
But for my brothers as well, that was and we only talked about it after. They didn't kind of go to me, oh, that's a really weird moment when your parents leave and you're just sat in your room. But it was afterwards they were going, oh yeah, that was terrifying. I was like, I really would have liked you to prepare me for that a little bit. But I just burst into tears and just sat there like, what now? Went on a walk, left my keys in the door, and was just walking past all these people, terrified. And then I ran back because I remembered I left my keys in the door. It was just, I hated it so much, but it gets better. Freshers is really, really a tricky thing to get used to, definitely, I think.
And I think we also spoke about a bit about the separation anxiety, and especially like I had a really long-term boyfriend before I came to uni, and so that was like really weird, like being away from them, and like, do you know what I mean? And it is, being away from people you speak to every single day, and then you don't see them for like 2 weeks because you have to like be super independent. So it's just weird, depending on how close you are with all the people that you've left behind, per se. Not left behind because you see them again, but you know what I mean.
For me, I definitely remember that first day feeling of when you first arrive, and I was in the exact same position. My parents left and I burst into tears. But for me, I moved into my flat a day later than everyone else. And I remember being terrified about that. For some reason, I had it built up in my head that being a day late, everyone will already be best friends and I'll already be feeling sort of left out and stuff like that, which is completely not the case. But for Bristol, the Freshers Week is, at least I felt it was very night heavy. Everything was clubbing, events in the night, which was great. And like, I found it a great way to meet new people and especially socialize and things like that. But it's like when you wake up the next morning and you're hungover and everyone else is hungover in their beds, and suddenly it's like, then you feel, okay, what do I do now? So I think so. It's the days that I found in Freshers. I found the days quite difficult. And sort of like waiting for other people to wake up and like sort of sat there like, because I come from a big family, and it's like if I go downstairs, there's everyone there, and suddenly it's felt a lot quieter and a lot more on my own and things like that.
What would you advise people to do in those days to like make up the time, kind of similar for if they have a similar experience to what you had?
I go to a city uni, so it's very much in the city. It's just go and explore. So, okay, let's go, find somewhere nice to eat, or find where the shops are and stuff like that, and just make plans for the days as well as the night. If the uni aren't giving you things to do during the days, make sure you make those plans so you're not sat on your own during the days.
That's good advice. Cool.
Yeah. Claudia?
Yeah, so my story is quite different because I haven't attended Freshers. But yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting because I think that if I attended, I would have way more friends. Because when I moved, because I was doing my undergrad in Scotland, and when I moved there, I was moving in with a friend from high school. So we rented a flat. So there was not really that much like necessity to like go and like meet new people, because I was like trying to like set up my flat and everything and sort everything out. And then but then after some time you could see like all these groups forming, and then you would be like, where did those people know each other from? And then you would be like, yeah, probably from Freshers, and just going out. And yeah, I kind of miss it, to be honest. So if I could do it differently next time, I would definitely go. But yeah, there are many like stories that I've heard about Freshers that people were, not having as good time as they expected. So I guess it's to do with like where you come from and what you expect as well. Yeah. Yeah.
If you miss out on that like initial group from Freshers, what would you say is like a good way to sort of, whether it's your course or whatever, just like find some people outside of maybe the people that you're living with or the person you're living with, if you're in that circumstance?
I would say both, like literally just like meeting new people, get into, even just like stepping outside of your comfort zone, because that's a big thing. Like back then I had to do a lot of things on my own because I moved from like a different country to the UK. So it's like just having to learn everything, and like then socializing on top of that seemed too much to handle at once. But after some time I was like, I have to get to know people from my course, and then I know that the people on the course knew each other from the Freshers. So I was like, that would be way better for me to get to know them back then. But because of my circumstances, it was like, it would be too much. So yeah, but it might be overwhelming, of course, but yeah, it might be helpful as well.
I think that's a really good point. I think the best advice I received before going to uni was
just do not be afraid to embarrass yourself.
Mm.
And I can't tell you how many people I went up to sitting down and said, I'm sorry, this is, but could I sit with you? And I made my best friend because I was on my own in a pub because my brother had to leave. And he said, go talk to those girls. And I was so embarrassed. And I went and said, she's my best friend. I'm living with her. Like, without doubt, we'll be mates for life. And it was because I put myself out there, and I was terrified. But I probably did that 20 times and didn't work out every time. Sometimes it was a bit weird, but most of all, like, I made some really good mates through doing that.
So I think for me, the main thing is like also joining societies and stuff like that. So for me, I play hockey, I'm a keen hockey player. And it's like you immediately have something in common with someone. And it's so much easier it's a conversation starter. You've got something in common. It's so much easier just to, okay, you talk about this thing you have in common, and all of a sudden you've made a friend for it, and that really helps. But I was in the exact same position so we had to get a bus into uni from the student village. And every single time you were sat next to someone on the bus, you'd have the exact same conversation. So where are you from? What A-levels do you do? What course do you do? Where are you staying? Stuff like that. And it's just everyone's in the exact same boat.
Because it's so rare, like at school sometimes random people join and leave and stuff, but it's so rare that it's like everybody, that's why it's the summer camp feeling, I think, is in the same boat. And so it's not weird for you to introduce yourself to people because everyone doesn't know anyone by and large. And I definitely agree with what you're saying about sports. Like the first thing I wanted to look for at uni was whether they did karate or football, just because like that's why I was good at school. And I just wanted to it's like a routine as well as just getting to know people. And you kind of feel like you have a bit of home with you if it's something like that, or whatever your thing is, like music, or there'll be society for you for sure.
Yeah. So I actually had Facebook to go, like who I knew was in my flat. So we'd already been like, yeah, we'll obviously do everything together in freshers. So we went to the societies fair and stuff, and that was good. Yeah, and I did like trials for a few different things. And just went with different people who I'd met, and they'd be like, oh, you're going to this trial, and I'd be like, yeah, let's go together, let's walk together and stuff. So I think it's a good way of making friends, and like you say, having some stuff in common. Like it was really funny. Me and my housemate always laugh about it. But one of the reasons why we realized that like we were so alike is because there was this girl who we were playing a drinking game, and she was like, I don't know, she was just clearly lying about everything she was saying. Me and my housemate, we'd literally known each other for about an hour, but we kept looking at each other like telepathy, thinking, is she serious? Like, is this actually happening right now? And then we like got back or something, we were alone, and we were like, did you see that as well? So even having something in common like that, like just noticing like perceptions of things and people as well. So yeah. But I think we should move on to the next question. So how do we feel about, obviously COVID is now a thing and will be a thing next year as well. So just like, what advice would we give about re-entry into clubs, into society, into not being as isolated, and like, yeah, I'd say probably looking after your mental health, because that's probably thing that's gone downhill for most people. I do think like if you feel like you can't go straight in, do just take your time. Like your mental health is most important thing. If like the first day of uni you just want to take the day to yourself, do it. The next day you'll be fine. Everyone won't have made friends like different to you. If you do feel uncomfortable going out in that amount of people, then don't do it. Or I'd say 9 times out of 10 there's going to be someone else who also agrees with you and would rather stay in a smaller group. So I think it'll be quite easy to find the people who agree with you about and have the same sort of worries as you do. But yeah, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. I think I'm sure lots of different things about how you interact with people at that level, like living with people if you've never done it before, X, Y, and Z, will come up. But I think in the sense what you're saying is like, because there are so many people, there are going to be people that are comfortable with the same things with you in terms of going out, or in this case, obviously with COVID. So yeah, I think maybe just stick with the people that would rather stay in, or whether that is you going out to a fair or course or socialize, and eventually you'll see people who like feel the same place as you, so you don't feel like your only chance is be alone or like feel pressure to do something you're not comfortable with. You'll find somebody who is in the same space as you at uni, even if you have to just do a bit of digging on like the socials or website. So I'd say that. And I think, yeah, it's just about, like you say, making a bit of a balance between pushing yourself if you feel like it's like rationally, you feel it's safe, but you're scared, and that's okay to feel scared, and there's every reason for that. But also respecting your boundaries when like it's too much for you. And it's just knowing that difference, and just, putting people around you that are going to respect that difference for you, for sure.
Yeah, we briefly discussed this yesterday. I think what I kind of clocked onto at the beginning of uni was not so much how you deal with how you feel about COVID and going out and stuff, but more like how you talk about it with people. I think you have to be really careful because like me and my friends will be very open about how we feel about coronavirus, and we'll talk about it yeah, but I think at uni you really don't know what anyone's gone through if they've been really, really directly affected by it. And while it's so easy to just kind of slate it and be like, or whatever, however you feel, I think, yeah, you just have to be really respectful because what you soon realize is like these people have had all these 18 years before where you have no idea what they've been through, why their views are set in a certain way. And if they come across really angsty and like, I really, really do not want to, I'm very worried about coronavirus, I think someone could quite easily make a joke about it, but you have to be really careful because you really just don't know what's going on. But yeah, just kind of what you guys said, just really do what makes you feel comfortable. Don't feel under pressure to go out if you don't feel comfortable about that. But yeah, I just think the main thing is just remaining respectful of other people that even you're not really sure what's been going on before.
Yeah, I think that's the main point of it is don't do anything that you don't feel comfortable doing, and you should never be put in a position where you feel like you have to in order to make friends, because then there will be plenty of people who do feel the exact same as you. I think living in stuff like students have the expectations of, I know a lot of people that I knew at uni, like house parties and flat parties and stuff like that. And I think that's when you need to have a conversation about, okay, what your boundaries are and what you're comfortable with during coronavirus and what you're not comfortable with. If you're comfortable and everyone's comfortable with having, 50 people in their flat, then fair enough. If some people aren't, then I think the conversation needs to be had and like needs to respect other people's views and compromise and things like that. Then if you don't want to go clubbing, or if that's like going out in big groups is what you're scared of, then there's so many other ways to socialize with people in smaller groups. And university experience isn't totally just about clubbing, even if there's a perception that it is.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that was said, but I will also say that maybe, I know it might be quite difficult at the beginning to like open up to people, but like, it takes each and every person different time to like adjust and like to open up. But if you don't feel like doing something yet, like just don't think like, oh, I'm gonna just like sleep on it and then go next day. Like maybe it's gonna take you a month or so. Like just don't compare yourself to others in terms of like how long it takes you, and like don't feel like, oh, you are a disappointment because you were not able to adjust within like a week, like just know your like limits and know your like comfort zone as well. And like there are plenty of resources and like people to reach out to like at uni and societies that you can get help from when you feel like uncomfortable doing something or scared of doing something. And yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant. So this is an interesting one. What is like the one golden piece of advice that you'd give to incoming freshers? Could be about the first year, could be about your whole uni experience. I think my golden rule would be like, just be yourself and don't take crap, sorry, excuse my language, from people. Like if someone's made you feel uncomfortable or, you're feeling a certain type of way, I just think don't be afraid to say what you're really thinking or feeling, and don't be afraid, to tell that person that they may have hurt your feelings or they may have stepped over the line. Because at the end of the day, like you've got to hold on to your own values, because you're the person who's got you throughout your whole uni experience, and you're the person who shapes it the most. So yeah, just be yourself and say what you're really thinking, because you don't want it to be a year later and you've never really told someone have you been feeling the whole year, and then it comes out in some crazy way, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that about you, or I didn't know you ever felt that way, and then it just, I think just be open and honest, and then you'll be fine, and I think you'll really respect yourself, if you're open and honest, with people, even if you might be scared to, which I know is really terrifying when you're surrounded by people that you don't really know and might not trust.
I would say definitely kind of how Sophie was saying, be brave and, ask people to, in terms of friendship, I would say same thing with a mentor. Like, it's so invaluable, whether it's someone on your course or just someone older than you, maybe that's like a family member or whatever it might be, to kind of ground you in stuff, because it's such a weird reality. I mean, without even factoring in coronavirus, being at uni, because you spent at school, which is like this very specific Monday to Friday way of being, and then you're expected to like use this uni experience to transition into work. And I think having a mentor that can guide you through like what's going to be tough, what's going to be the best way to get through things is great, because that can be course specific, like helping you with resources or advice. But also I think it's good to ground you in the sense that, like, when you're working too hard, you need someone to tell you, relax, take a break, look after your mental health, have some fun, do some hobbies, do some activities. At the same time, when you feel like, oh, I don't even know how to start going about when I want to look at internships and volunteering and stuff like that. Again, it's also, they can give you advice about, like, no, this is a really good way to get experience for when you leave uni. Because at the end of the day, the uni's job ultimately is to just get you out the door and, make it be a fun, cool place. But also, you've got to look after whatever your personal circumstances, which varies massively. Some people have kids, some people have gone back to uni, and it's really just to get that degree. Like, remember why you're there. It's not about what other people are there, That's what I'd say.
Yeah, that's a nice little tidbit. Remember why you're there. I think that's a really good piece of advice. Sophie?
Well, firstly, what I said before, the thing that really, really helped me was just, don't be afraid to embarrass yourself. I think what you realize quite quickly is that when you're constantly worrying about how you're coming across, the other person is most definitely worrying about how they're coming across. And when you wake up in the morning and go, oh my God, I was so embarrassing yesterday, or I did this really horrible thing, they're probably waking up thinking, oh my gosh, I did something embarrassing. Like, we are kind of all the center of our own universes, and we forget that not everyone else is worrying about what we're doing all the time. And I think you just take everything a bit less seriously when you realize that. And I think that really does help. And secondly, I think the thing that I struggled with a lot was, because obviously with coronavirus, different unis were different, like they were taking it very differently, and Nottingham was really, really strict with it. And I just, on my girls group chat, everyone was saying like, oh my gosh, my best friend lives next door. We're literally made for each other. Everything's perfect. They had met all these amazing people. They were going out so much, and I was just having the opposite experience. And I really just was not feeling myself. I hadn't really found people I was like really, really confident with, and I just have never felt more not like myself, and it really, really did worry me quite a lot. And I think what I said yesterday, just a really good piece of advice from Florence Given, I think it was in her book Women Don't Owe You Pretty. She said, if you're going to scroll through social media and see everyone's like best moments, just don't do it first thing in the morning. Don't make it the first thing you do, wake up and see how amazing everyone's lives are. You don't want to wake up and start with that. If you're going to do it at another point. But I think, I looked at social media too much. And of course, everyone knows it's not how reality is. And everyone constantly showing their best moments is just not accurate. So I think limit social media use. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Really try and focus on yourself. It's such a character building experience. And everyone kind of lies. If they posted something amazing on their story of this amazing club, ask them how it was, because it probably wasn't that good. Like I always found.
Yeah. Rihanna?
I think just to reiterate that, it's just everyone is in the exact same position that you're in. Like everyone's in the exact same boat. Everyone's just been thrown together with people they don't know. So don't think that just because you're not having the best of times that everyone else is, because there's a strong chance they're in their room, feeling the exact same way. So do just talk about it, the bad side of it, as well as, if you can be open straight away, as well as the good sides of it. And I think also get involved in what you can, whether it's getting involved in social activities with your friends, with your course, with societies, because this is there's so many opportunities at university, so many more opportunities than you've ever had, or at least I ever had at school and stuff like that. So it's just get involved in whatever you can. So is that that?
Yeah, that is a very golden rule. Put yourself out there and you might find something. I also think don't be afraid if you've completely changed as a person, because that's extremely natural. Like that will happen to everyone. So just let the change come. Like honestly.
That's a good point. Your friends from home might want to hold you back, and not because like in an obviously vindictive way, but they might feel like they've not grown the same way that you have, and they might say you've changed and all that kind of thing. But if you've changed for the better, like whether that is you don't go out as much because that's healthier for you, and that's whatever it is, yeah, do that. I think, as I say, remember why you're there, and they're not going to be with you through your whole journey. I think Louisa was saying that as well. So yeah, cool.
No, I agree with that. I think it's a really good time to kind of be like, you've just so many different people around you, and it's a second chance. Like uni is a really good second chance where if you kind of don't feel like, because growing up with people, you really come into a category and you all are very similar. The people I grew up with, I'm very, very similar to. So going to uni is a great time to kind of really actually realize what you're interested in, what you want to wear, what music you want to listen to. And I think it's a really good time to, I really do agree. Don't worry if people are saying you've changed, because you probably will. And it's probably a good thing because you're being exposed to so much more rather than being stuck in this little group of people you're comfortable with who like the same stuff.
Yeah, that's a point.
Claudia?
Yeah, so I would just say I agree with everything again, but also like make the time for yourself. Like, just it's part of looking after your mental health and physical health as well, is to creating the time for yourself. Because I can imagine that it's very like exciting time for people to come to a new place, meet new people, and just wanting to suddenly have all these new friendships and go to parties. But then it's tiring as well. Like you just got one body and one, well-being. So it's all just very important to, look after and have the time for that. So if you feel like, like you are just tired of like partying for a week, just don't go the next week, or just like give yourself a break, So just trying to find the balance. So as we used to say, like work and life balance, this is more like the freshers and life balance, and like freshers and uni balance as well, of course, because sometimes people do have freshers the entire first year, and that might be tiring as well.
I think with that as well, there's the whole sort of perception that you shouldn't be going home or long it out for as long as you can, sort of like the whole first term. Because at the end of the day, if you need a rest, like go home, refresh yourself. If you're in a position where you can go home, you feel so much better for it. It's like, I remember a lot of times when I was in my first year, I just get so exhausted that I'd get on the train and visit my grandparents for the day and just sleep on their sofa just for a day and be fed and then come back. And it's even that just makes you feel it's a lot better. It's taking time out from being with the same people 24/7.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember having that conversation with my friend a lot. It really helped speaking to someone who was also struggling with uni. Like I really didn't want to message the people going, uni is the best thing ever. I was really talking to people who were also in the same kind of experience as I was. And we were both kind of, I regret not giving myself more of a chance to kind of go home. I kept saying, come on, stick it out. It will be fine. It will get better. You don't want to miss out. But really, I should have given myself a break and gone home a couple more times, just for a couple of days. It really, really just refreshes you. So kind of, if you want to go home, just do it. Don't worry about missing out. There's a lot of time to make up for going home for a couple of days just to reset.
Brilliant. I think that was really good pieces of advice for everyone. Guys, you should be listening, seriously.
Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah.
Where was this when we were freshers? But I think this is such a good range of experiences and advice as well.
Yeah.
So next, this is a big one. How do we adjust to different types of people and make sure we're being tolerant of, all the different things and you hear and experience from people at uni? Yeah, I just think be open when you get there, and just try and if you haven't seen it, if haven't been exposed to different cultures or something like that, really, and don't be afraid to be like, oh, those aren't my kind of people immediately. I think you just got to get to know all these different types of people. And then I think you yourself, again, will become a better person for it. You'll become a more like, I don't know, holistic person. I don't know what word to use. But yeah, I think the more you experience from different people, the better it'll be for you. So, and I think ask if you're not sure. Say someone has a different religion to you or a different culture, and they're doing something, I don't know, in the kitchen, they're cooking something in a specific way, or they're doing something, and you're like, oh, what's that? Don't be afraid to just be like, oh, that's interesting, but do it in a respectful way, and you'll be better for it.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that. I think it's a case of like you were saying there, it's okay to ask questions. I think there is a bit of a stigma of like, you should either be worldly and know every single culture or whatever else, or you're ignorant. Especially, it's not even just a uni thing, it's just like a cultural thing these days. There's a lot of pressure to feel like you need to know everything. But like you said, the main thing is as long as you're respectful. I think people mostly appreciate you wanting to ask about faith, food, background, and don't make assumptions. But if you make a wrong assumption, again, as long as you do it with the right intention, people will respect that, or they should do at least. So yeah, I think it's just being curious and being open and accepting. And these things can cross over to a lot of what we said otherwise. So for example, it could be like going out. So for example, if someone doesn't drink for their like religious reasons or family background, they don't need to even have to give you a specific reason, but there might be a reason for that. And that if you want to get to know that, to understand it better, that might help you respect those boundaries more kind of like intuitively without them constantly coming up. So yeah, I think that is a big point.
Yeah, quickly, going off the back of that, I always think if you're the person being asked, also don't feel like it's definitely not your job to educate someone. If you feel like you'd want to do that, fine. But if you feel like a certain type of way and you're like, that it's not on me, go read a book or go ask someone else. That's also fine, because I know that it can be a lot when people are asking you some wild things and you're like, seriously, come on now.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing thing being exposed to so many different types of people from so many different backgrounds. And I think what's so brilliant about that is it really makes for some really interesting conversations as long as you keep them respectful. And I think I'm very open to having like a big political discussion, and I'm really working on trying to be like not pushy with it. And I think it's such a brilliant thing. I learned from one of my housemates just to be really respectful. Like, you can't even really tell his views because he's so inquisitive. He wants to know. He follows every single different political party on Twitter because he's so educated on it all. And I think it's just really good to be very respectful, but also don't kind of walk on eggshells. Have the conversations. It's really interesting. Like, when we're all growing up in the same place, you probably are surrounded by people who have really, really similar views to you, kind of like what I said before. And you don't have so many different conversations, and it's a really good time to become educated on different types of people and different views. And so I think don't be scared to talk about it. It's really, really interesting.
I think the main thing is just go into it being open-minded and expect that you will meet people that you've never, but obviously that are different from where you've grown up, and you will meet people that sometimes you'll get along with their views and sometimes you won't. Like, it's inevitable. You're going to meet people like that all through your life. And if it's the first opportunity that you have met people who are different to you, then do just be respectful and have the conversation, but kind of expect it to happen in a way.
Yeah,
I agree with that again. And then also, like, it's like sometimes people might not be willing to open up, like if they're from like different backgrounds or so, and they might think straight away that you might be like judging them by that or something. So just try and be like welcoming, like ask questions, but also like listen actively, so like then you can have the proper conversation. And like from my own experience, for example, so back home, there are not that many like different people from different backgrounds. So for me, like, it was a big change coming to the UK, but not like, because I'm quite a young generation, but like to my parents and grandparents, whenever I'm like explaining how life is here, it's very like different. So even just then coming home after spending years in the UK, it's quite challenging, to be honest. So don't be afraid even to just like make up your own mind and then go and like educate other people about your experience, because I think that's also very important, especially when you're coming from a background where people don't have that many opportunities meeting other, people from different ethnicities or like cultural backgrounds. So yeah.
Very good point. Yeah.
I think, Louise, you made a really interesting point, which I hadn't considered. Also, yeah, absolutely what you said. You don't have to respond if you don't have to be the one to educate them. And I think people don't be offended if someone doesn't really want to have to explain it to you, because you don't have to if you don't want to. I think that was a really, really good point.
I guess something similar to that, but like on the opposite side, is maybe somewhat controversially, don't expect that everyone has to be educated on your opinion. And I suppose it depends. So obviously, for example, if somebody is just acting in such a way, carrying out their opinions, and that's harming or offending other people on a regular basis, they can't just continue to ignorantly act. However, if they have, for example, if they are religious and there is something that you think that their religion holds that's immoral in your opinion, you can initiate that conversation with them, but they might be like, I'm sorry, I just won't hear anything of it. You just have to take that you can't educate them, you can't force them into that opinion, and whatever it might be politics, might be whatever. So I think because there's a lot of these things these days where like it's like silence is violence, or however it comes across in conversations or social media or whatever, but no, you can't force people into opinions. But yes, of course, try if that's something that you're passionate about sharing, but but protects people if that needs to be the case as well.
I also say two things, like also maybe don't be silent, because I remember I had an experience where someone was saying quite racist things towards my flatmate, who I wasn't friends with. I didn't even like her, but she was from a similar culture to me, and so I felt personally attacked by it, even though it wasn't about me. I was like, why wouldn't you think that about me when we have the exact same culture? So I felt the need to defend her and then explain why everything she said would be wrong, and she can't get away with saying that, even if it's not specifically to me, even if it's about someone else, you can't hold those views. So yeah, I think it just depends what kind of person you are as well. And I think it is good to defend people, even if you don't care about them. If you know that it would hurt them if they heard something like that, and just to stick up for people, because it'll be a shock, because someone will think because they're your friend, they think they can get away with saying anything, and they think you'll be like, oh yeah, because you're too scared. But even if it's your best friend in the whole entire world and you would never want to say anything against them, if you think that they said something wrong, challenge them. I always think if someone's your friend, the best thing you can actually do for them as a friend is keep challenging them as a person.
I think that's important about just bullying in general. Like, you're never too old for bullying, whether that's or work or whatever else. You think it goes away, it doesn't. Obviously, it just comes in different guise, and I think peer pressure comes into that a lot. Like, if you see someone under the guise of like, oh, we're just having fun, picking on someone for a difference or whatever the reason they've chosen to, and like Louise says, they're your mate, you can call that out, because that's not really respecting their opinion. That's, again, stopping them from being kind of harmful. And if you can't feel, and obviously it's complicated, you might be living with them and don't want to cause an issue. Look at your uni, look at, you might have somebody like a rep in your accommodation, all sorts of things, report and support, whatever it might be. If it's something worse on a night out that you've seen, especially the kind of things that happen on a night out. So always please try and report that and protect them, even if it's not you directly saying something themselves, if it's just like general negative bullying behavior, I'd say. But yeah,
that's one thing which is really important, I think. And I think look out for people. That's one thing. Like, everyone is in the same boat, and a lot of people are struggling a lot more than others. And I think I really struggled to look out for people because I was really struggling myself. And so as soon as I did feel better, I really felt the urge to just look out for people who were kind of on their own and stuff, because it's such a scary experience. And I think absolutely what you were saying, Jeremy, like, really just watch out for people. Like, everyone is in a new place with new people, and not everyone is very nice, sadly. So just make sure you're looking out for others around you, definitely.
Yeah, and I just want to say quickly,
No.
This is such a random one. This is something I feel passionate about. For all the conservatives out there, you can be conservative if you want to at uni. Like, I just feel like it's so weird being a politics student. Everyone's just, I don't know, super liberal just because, I don't know, you have to be a uni. It's really weird. I remember like we were in a politics class and everyone was like, and then everyone was like, does anyone like vote conservative or think about conservative values? Literally no one put their hand up. I remember speaking in a thing and I said something like of a conservative value and someone was like, oh, that's interesting. I would never say that out loud here. I was like,
Old.
okay.
God,
But yeah, just for those, because it is, I think uni is a place where everyone's kind of forced socially to conform to specific values that are usually right, but some of them might not be. Do you get what I mean? Like, even you might hold a conservative value that's not necessarily immoral, but everyone will like be like, oh my god, what?
Yeah.
So just say what you think, honestly, and just be true to yourself, and you'll be fine. And there'll be people who, again, will secretly be thinking the same thing as you, but are too scared to say it. So find them. Next, establishing boundaries. Yes, it's extremely weird living with random people that you've never met. Very, very, very weird. The stuff that you like value, keep to yourself, keep in your room, like, do you know what I mean? Lock your door because it is really weird and people just walk into your room. So if you want to feel like you need to lock your door, don't be afraid to do that. As soon as you get there, I say it's the day one, I say sit down and be like, look, this is what I can and cannot take, because you don't want it to be like halfway through uni and people just keep taking the piss, like, because do you know what I mean? You'd rather have the conversation earlier on so you don't explode because someone stole all your food. So establish boundaries ASAP with your housemates, no matter if you know them or not, because you've got to be able to take what you can take.
Yeah.
Jeremy?
Same vein, like, don't feel afraid. Don't be like, if something is something you didn't realize was an issue because you've never been in that weird dynamic living with like a bunch of people, you can always say it. It's like, I didn't say it, and I said it was okay for them to borrow my milk once, so I can't unsay it now. Like, by the way, 90% of uni, everyone will tell you, is about like borrowed milk and dishes. So that's going to be a thing. But yeah, no, I think I echo what you're saying in that I think, don't let it bottle up. I've seen a lot of like really close relationships over literally spilt milk break up just because they've had a resentment build up. I think it's just a life skill as well. As much as you remember a lot of negatives from these kind of arguments, it's just a lesson in handling and dealing with people, whether that's future, like people you live with or like socialize with. And there's a right way to do it, like with a lot of what we said in this conversation. You don't have to be confrontational. You can just say like, oh, I prefer that we didn't share this, or I need if I keep it clean, can you guys keep it clean? Like, establish rotas and stuff early on as well, so that so it doesn't come up. Otherwise, you're going to do all the cleaning and then feel resentful about it. Whereas people probably be willing to do a rota, you just have to kind of push them onto it, and then they know it's the right thing to do, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's a really tricky one. I'm actually yet to get to the whole kitchen thing because I was catered for. So I didn't really have the whole food stealing thing, which I will definitely experience next year, knowing my house 100%. But I think absolutely establish boundaries and don't be afraid to kind of say when something's wrong. Like, of course, you don't know these people very well, but everyone's going through it. Like, I have not, of all my friends at all these different kitchens and stuff, I've heard that everywhere. And I think it's really, really important to talk about and just make sure they know where you stand on it. But yeah, I think try to just be calm with people and not, I think it's really, really easy to get stuck in your head about these things like that it's the end of the world because someone, like, I think just try and keep as calm as possible with people. You don't want to have any blow up issues in a kitchen because you're very tight knit and you're going to be very close to them. But I think, about space and stuff, I think I was quite bad with boundaries at the beginning because I was constantly going into other people's rooms, so they probably needed to set up boundaries with me. I was really, honestly, like, I hated sitting on my own. In my room, I hated it. But I don't know, for me, I had to find people who also hated being on their own. And I spent the year with those people. That I would wake up, go to them, and the only time I'd go back to my room was to go to bed. Like, find people who are similar to you. If you're someone who wants to stay in your room on your own, surround yourself with people like that. I think it's really, you kind of get that each other needs some space. But for me, it was a lifesaver finding people who hated being on their own, because we just sat all day together and it was brilliant. So yeah.
Fake friends is a massive thing at uni. I think everyone here can agree, like, that can happen a lot, where you think someone's your friend but really they're not, and especially in the first few weeks when you're kind of forcing friendships because of like the whole housing situation, and just trying to, like, again, like, if you are someone like Sophie who doesn't want to be alone, sometimes it could be, sometimes you might find yourself in friendships that have come across because of that, and then, but really they're not your type of person. Don't be afraid to just be like, look, I'm sorry, but you don't want to be your friend. Like, and I think a lot of people find that something that's a really difficult thing to do. But like toxic relationships can come in all forms. If you hate your significant other, you're probably going to break up with them, aren't you? Like, you're not going to stay with them if you don't want to be with them. The same thing goes to friendships. If you don't really like someone that you're friends with, you can say, I'm sorry, but like, I don't think you're good for me as a friend, and there you have it. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else agrees or had that sort of experience.
Yeah, I would just maybe say to that, like, as you said, like, you can tell them that they are not the good people for you. If you're living with them, just be respectful, respect them, and hopefully they're going to respect you back. But also it depends on the person. Just be polite, greet the person in the kitchen or wherever you meet. You don't have to be like, spending time with them, but just be polite. I think that's a key one. And also don't have high expectations of people, and don't think like, oh, you're going to be coming into a house or a house and like everyone's going to love you and you're going to love everyone. Like, it's something to be very mindful of, because I was trying not to have expectations after like moving into places with strangers, and that helped me, I think, a lot, because I know people that were thinking, oh, I'm going to be living with students, it's going to be amazing, and then they moved in and it was terrible. So like, you never know who you're going to be living with, especially if it's strangers you're moving in with. So just don't have high expectations. Just go in there being like, this is where I'm going to be living, and try to talk to people, set the boundaries at the beginning. As you said, Louise, like, communication is key. So just do that and see how it goes.
Yeah, I do agree with you though, Louise. It's tricky at the beginning of uni, and I think you actually have to be quite selfish with who works for you. You're not going to be everyone's friend, and it sounds really awful, but people at the beginning of uni really latch on to people quite quickly because you want to have that friend who you go around with all the time. But you really do have to set boundaries. If it's not working for you, you do have to be selfish. And it's really odd, like the whole housing situation. The rule of 6 was really odd at the beginning of uni, because you had to be really, really selfish. And it was very odd because uni is cliquey already, and to have, oh, sorry, our table is full, it's very odd. But that is just life. You can't have everyone round for dinner, you can't have everyone on holiday. You have to be selfish and do what works for you. And it feels really awful sometimes, but with housing as well, you're probably going to come about some issues with getting into houses and leaving people out, but it is just something you really have to. And boundaries is really important. I think uni is where you really, really discover that.
From the flip side, if someone doesn't get along with you for any type of reason, don't take it personally, like, because you're going to have other people who do. So if not it's impossible for you to be 100% a likable person. Like, you're going to have things about your personality that other people cannot mesh with. So do not take it personally if everyone doesn't think you're their best friend. And I do discuss this a lot with my housemates as well. Like, some people will be like, yeah, I have like 50 friends, and like, this is my friend, and this is my friend, and this is my friend, and this is my best friend, and these 10 people are my best friend. But like, a lot of the time that can be the case in like high school or whatever, when I guess you're like friends with everyone in your school. But I think circles do tend to get smaller as you grow and mature as a person. And again, like, don't be afraid if you have, I don't know, 4 really close friends that you tell everything to. That's really okay. Like, not everyone has to be your friend, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to get more from smaller but closer friendships. So yeah,
absolutely. If you're in a massive friendship group, really, if something did happen, I think the tighter, smaller groups are so much better on actually relying on your friends if something really does go wrong in your life and you actually really want to talk. I think don't worry about having a huge friendship group. Just as long as you have a couple of people who you can rely on, then that is perfect. That's better probably.
Yeah, and it's okay to like compartmentalize as well. So you could have your like house friends and your course friends and your sport friends, because it might be the case that you just don't want to mix them. Because I think a lot of people try and like force them all into one group so it's easier for them. But really what happens is that like you're just playing sort of host between, especially it gets like political, like, oh, why do you spend time with them, blah, blah, blah. So feel free to just sort of split up your time with different things you do. So you have different spaces for different things mentally as well, I'd say. Amazing.
Anyone else have anything to say on that topic, Rihanna?
I agree with that. You don't have to be friends with everyone. You don't have to be upset if you're not everyone's, best friend immediately. You have, like, the people that you meet initially. I was very lucky that I got along really well with my flat, but you might not, and that's completely okay. And the people that you're friends with in the first week, a lot of the time they're not going to be the people that you're friends with, 2 months down the line. It's like sort of being forced into a position where you'll make friends out of convenience because they're there and you're spending all the time with them, and like that's completely natural.
How to stay safe at uni, which is arguably one of the most important things about university. You don't have your parents to rely on financially, physical protection, like mental protection. You are now your own person. You are now independent of anyone else. So taking care of yourself is very important. Obviously you can ask your parents for help, but call them if you don't have that. There's someone out there who can help you, especially finding societies and getting help from the uni. But yeah, how to stay safe. I think, making sure that you're just being vigilant, especially alcohol and things. And I think one of the most important things is don't feel weird about doing something that might seem like overly safe to people, because something like, for example, I'm trying to be relatable. I had a really bad experience with alcohol when I was younger. I literally died and had to be resuscitated. So that was quite traumatic for me. And so after that, every time I'd see someone who was maybe paralytic, my immediate reaction was to literally call an ambulance, right? Because that's my immediate reaction. I remember when I got there and my housemate, this was literally maybe day 2, and he was like paralytic, seemed a bit cold, wasn't responsive. So my immediate reaction was to call the ambulance. And then I was having a little back and forth with someone else who was like, no, that's complete overreaction. But like for me, that wasn't, because of my personal experience. Like I think be overly cautious when it comes to someone's physical health, because you never know like what could happen. That's my personal opinion, but don't be afraid to do something like that, or like just taking other people's safety very seriously, even though it might seem like the weird thing to do, like especially like, I don't know, maybe someone's downing a whole bottle of vodka because that's what they want to do. If they say you're weird for not doing that, you're not weird for not doing that, don't do it. please don't do it. Like just take what you can, and you literally know your limits, not some random person who you met 2 days ago. So yeah
I'd say I definitely echo the point you're saying of like, you, especially with the friendships thing, that you come, you feel like all your friends around you, but you don't really know them, and until you build up the trust, you don't know who's going to be there for you at the end of the night out, or who's going to be there for you when something hits the fan. It's between you and another person, she said, he said, all that kind of thing. So know who you trust, but until you can have that, take initiative yourself, because you haven't got your parents to call around the corner necessarily, or X, Y, and Z to help you. And I guess another thing is like, maybe educate yourself on some stuff. Like if you want to learn CPR, I'm sure uni will do it. If you want to learn some mental health training, so that if it's either for your own check-ins or with your friends, learn that. so that, you know, if it's something does arise, you're kind of more prepared. Not saying that these things will happen in emergency every single day, but even with COVID, there are certain things that you can do training on or learn that will be free, that will make sure that the kind of things that you'd ordinarily rely on for like the school or parents for, you are now equipped with. And I'm sure your friends will be grateful to have you around for that, and you could spread that and everyone becomes safer as a result. So I'd say, yeah, that's probably my advice on that.
Yeah, no, I really agree with that as well. I think absolutely take everybody's safety very seriously. I think what was quite scary for me, and I only realized when I got there on my first day, because I got really drunk the first night and had to take myself home. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, there is nobody here looking out for me. Like, I was really, really drunk, and my friends will always back, like, be there for you, because that's what you do. You know when someone's taking it too far because you know each other so well. But no one was there to look out for me. And I really wish I'd thought about that before, because obviously your first day, you're probably going to drink to compensate for being quite nervous. That's what I did anyway. Like, don't do that, but that's what I did. And I just remember getting home and being like, not remembering how I got back, who I spoke to. And I just think, like, I know uni is so great and you're really excited when you get there and you want to like make new friends and have a really good night, but just be really careful how much you drink, especially right at the beginning, because likely you're going to go home on your own, and it is so dangerous. I think it's a very odd feeling, kind of not having anyone looking out for you like you always have had. And that's why, kind of like what you said, Louise, like, I have been that person, stranded, phone's dead, can't get a taxi home, no more night buses. And so there's always a girl standing outside a club on her own, so paralytic, and just really look out for each other. I will always get a taxi back for a girl on her own, because you really just, people going to uni probably don't have anyone looking out for them, so be that person to look out for everyone. I really, really do stand by that.
No, that's the first thing that came into my head when it's being safe at uni is with alcohol and stuff like that. Because I know with especially with sports nights, for me there was a lot of pressure on drinking, and I got myself into some silly situations with people I didn't know very well, and ending up, you know, trying to get myself home, and it just wasn't, and waking up in the next morning sort of like, what, that was terrifying. So I think it's just, so for me it's like, nobody was really looking out for me. I didn't really know people very well, because it's sort of, I shoved into a sports team where I didn't know anyone and stuff like that. And it's like, if you think you need help getting home, tell someone, because people aren't, you know, they're not going to not care. Like, people are human at the end of the day. They're going to want, if they might not even be aware that you're that drunk or that you're trying to go home and stuff like that. So if you just ask, like, oh, do you mind walking me to the bus stop, or do you mind walking me home? Do you mind something like that? And people will be willing to do it. You know, people aren't that cold-hearted that they're gonna willingly let you. And if they are, then that's a completely another problem. But yeah, just, you know, if you need help, ask for it, and don't be scared to ask for it.
Yeah, I would also say, like, it's a good thing to just like be on a phone with someone, or just texting with someone, or just even checking on people, like, oh, did you get home safely and stuff like that. Just generally, whether you are, you know, on a bus with someone, on like heading home, or on your own in a taxi, just regardless, like, it's always good to like check on people. Also with like drinking, I would just maybe like say, like, just hydrate yourself with water, yeah, an important one, but also like check on your, like, what you're drinking. Okay, like, just keep it with you, just don't like leave it somewhere and just like come back to it, because you never know, it might be like, you don't know people and what they can do these days. So your drink, and then yeah, just generally, if you see someone not having a good time, report that, or just like try to grab them and take them to a safer place, you know, or just, yeah, something along those lines, I would say.
No, absolutely. And keeping your drink safe is really important, and not to terrify anyone, but we had 2 girls spiked in the first week of uni on campus. And so it's just one of those things that, like, you also have to remember you don't know these people, and they might seem really, really, really friendly, but do keep your wits about you, because you have no idea who these people are. And obviously it's better to err on the side of trusting someone, but just keep yourself safe, look out for yourself, and remember you don't know people very well.
But again, this is all just like our realistic experiences. It's not always going to be super negative. You will make lifelong friends a lot of the time. You will have loads of opportunities, society, sports, volunteering, training. This is a time when just make the most of it. There's free stuff flown at students. It's all there. Just look for it. And there's also stuff to support you with all these issues that we've kind of troubleshooted for you, but have an amazing time at uni. And if you don't, that's okay, because there's plenty of time to get back to where you need to get to, whatever it is you want to do, the reason you're there. Thank you everyone for just, really good advice, I think, and a really good range of opinions. Louise, how did you find it?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, again, to reiterate, you've got 3 years. If it doesn't go well in the first 3 months, you could have the best time in the last 7. Like, honestly, just take your time. And uni is a wild, crazy experience, but it's worth it. And it's the only time in your life where you'll have endless time to change and grow without the pressures of a job or a family, or you're supporting yourself at the end of the day, and you've got all the time in the world to do that. So yeah, I've had a great experience, especially this my second year, hands down my favorite year. I've learned so much. I've made the best friends. I've really had an amazing time, and I think everyone else can attest to it being a really good time as well. Even if my first year I was literally depressed, so there's definitely a balance, but I think it just take your time. So yeah. Right. Everyone else, what do they think their overall experience has been?
I think overall it does get better, and the amount of people who you speak to who say freshers was really not very good. Some people love it, some people hate it, but both ways I've always found it just gets better and better. And like, if you don't meet the people you love in the first 2 years, even, you could meet them in the 3rd year. Like, it's a never ending experience. You put yourself out there, so just always do that. It's brilliant. It's what you make of it, and just put yourself out there really is my main point, I think.
I love uni so far. I think it's been great, and even if I did spend the first day crying, which the vast majority of people will do, so it's completely normal, and it does get better. You make friends. The people you meet initially, they may not be your friends. You make friends throughout the whole time. You've got to remember that it's not all about the first week. Like, you're not there for a week, you're there for 3 years, and things take time, and they take different amounts of time for different people. And just remember that it is an individual experience as well, and just because your experience is different to someone else's, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
I would just also maybe add, like, just be open to change, challenge yourself, and then don't be scared to fail. I know it's easier said than done, but then like it's all like a learning experience, and you can learn so much from it and grow. So yeah, just maybe as it was mentioned before, like, don't take everything as seriously. I mean, obviously it's important to take things seriously, but sometimes just like don't overthink that much, overstress that much, and just be yourself and try to enjoy it as well.
Those are really great points. Yeah. Really great point, especially academically. I'm always saying this to Louise. Like, you come from sixth form where like those like 3 or 4 grades are your whole life. Those modules count for like this much at the end. You will not remember what you got in second year, first term, essay, and whatever. You will not remember. So be compassionate with yourself. Take extenuating circumstances if you need it. Don't matter what your friends say. It's fine. But when it comes to this station, take that seriously, because Kylie and I will tell you that's real. But until then, just learn your lessons and breathe. But thank you so much, guys, and say goodbye to everyone. Bye.
Bye.